This live martial arts class, you'll discover best martial art weapon for self-defense, or the best martial arts for street fight self-defense weapons series. We're talking about the bow staff. The bow is one of the most versatile weapons. If you think about who used it years and years and years ago, the monks would carry this as a walking stick, and then they could defend themselves. All over Asia, but also in Europe, you had the monks who were carrying something called a quarterstaff, which is basically the same thing. Maybe a little bit thicker, a little made out of a different material, but the same idea. They're not carrying a gun, they're not carrying a knife, they don't carry swords. They're religious people, they're in prayer all the time, so they're carrying something that they would normally use. They would use a walking stick because they would go from town to town to town as they're moving throughout the country or the continent. They're spreading their religion to other people, people who want to hear it, people who don't want to hear it sometimes, but they're carrying something that helps them get up the mountains, get down the mountains, and then if there's a wild animal or a wild group of people, they have something that they can keep them off of themselves with, and that's what this is all about. This becomes the best martial arts self-defense weapon because you can carry it and you can use it as a walking stick. I'm gonna put a link in the description below for a 6-foot-long walking stick made out of hickory. It's extremely hard, it's very durable, and you can get it right away, and you can add that to your self-defense arsenal, the number of weapons that you have that you can defend yourself with. I wanna show you how to do some basic things with this staff though. The warm-up starts with this hand over hand spin, and you're doing this warm-up not to fight with, but to prepare your hands to use the staff to defend yourself. When you're talking about street fight self-defense, bow staff is a very strong, powerful option because it doesn't look threatening. It looks like, you know, you're just walking around and you have a stick, especially if you're hiking out in the woods. But a lot of people now, I see them because a lot of people are mobile, they're walking to try to get exercise, to get outside during the shutdown everywhere, the quarantine or whatever you want to call it. They're outside more and they're walking, and I see a lot of walking sticks. I see canes and walking sticks. Canes for people who are a little bit older, maybe who need it for mobility, which is a great weapon, and then a walking stick. And sometimes there's tall walking sticks like this. It's a great option to stay safe from somebody who wants to hurt you, take your stuff. And there might not be as many police on the street. Or maybe you live in an area where you're the first responder all the time. You've got to defend yourself or your family or both. All right, now that's a basic easy warm-up you can do. Again, it's just turning, the other hand is under, comes all the way through. This thumb is down, the hands are facing away from each other, and you turn it until it won't turn any longer. The other hand slides under, thumb to thumb, that makes a butterfly. Turn it and keep it spinning. Now, put the staff between you and the threat. When we talk about self-defense, street fight self-defense, bow, we want to talk about the principles of self-defense and the techniques of the weapon. How to use the weapon, what are the principles? The basic principles are, 1, pay attention to what's happening around you, situational awareness. 2, get in a better position. When we're talking about having a weapon in your hand, put the weapon between you and the threat. Now with the bow or the quarterstaff, the walking stick, you just point your thumb at the threat. And this is gonna stick this long part of my staff, the rest of the martial arts stick, between me and the threat. And notice that I'm putting it in front of your line of sight. I'm gonna interrupt your pattern. So I'm here and I've created this barrier to you touching my body with my walking stick or my martial arts staff, simply by pointing my thumb. And when I point my thumb at the threat, that's going to do 2 things. It puts this in line with you, and when I strike with a martial arts weapon or an open hand, not an open hand, a hand without a weapon in it, empty hand, that's it. When I strike with an empty hand or with a weapon, I always want to go straight through the middle. I want to hit, most of your vital organs are there, your eyes, your nose, your throat. These are the targets you start to think about when we talk about self-defense principles. So the first principle is situational awareness. Hopefully you see the threat before it gets there, but if not, you're still going to put this weapon between you and the threat. That's number 2. Number 3 is create distance, create a barrier that you have to come around, that the bad guy has to come around in order to get to you, and that is simply point your thumb. The second thing that happens is it puts it in your backhand. Very simply, right? Now you're ready to do number 3, which is take a deep breath. Think about what are the targets that you can hit. Remember I said that center line, you have all of those vital spots. Vital meaning if I hit them, it's either going to slow them down or it's going to kill them. It's going to knock them back or something. But vital is extremely important, vital. So the eyes, the nose, the teeth, the mouth, that stuff hurts. If you've ever been punched in the face, you know what I'm talking about. Maybe you've been punched in the face a lot of times. Throat, that's, you can kill somebody very easily. But the other thing here is, if you think about like an animal, right? There's all these stories about someone gets bit by a shark and he thought, punch him in the nose, because he read an article about it and the shark swims away. The alligator's trying to get the guy and spin him and take him to the bottom of the water and kill him. And he sticks his thumb in the alligator's eye and he lets him go, or he closes his nose. But the idea is that, alligators all scaly and hard, that sharks got those big teeth, skin is really thick, but they can't, when the eyes, in the nose, in the tender spots. Any animal that's coming at you, you put your thumb in its eye, that means any human animal. A person's coming at you, and he's like this, and you simply stick your thumb in his eye, or in this case, the throat. That causes that gag reflex. There's only one way that they can go, back, right? They're gonna create distance between you and the person, stick your thumb in his eye, his nose, right here, and that pushes them back. The difference here is you're gonna use this stick, this big, hard, in my case, it's this aluminum staff from combative.com. I point my thumb, and then the first thing I want you to think about, if the target is anywhere here, if you've made that decision, you took the breath, thought about what are my targets? Oh, his face, I'm gonna hit him right in the face. Go straight through the middle. The thrusting motion. This thrusting motion is your first strike with this self-defense weapon. When you thrust, turn your top hand over and your bottom hand up, facing the sky. That will lock this out so that if you hit something hard, the guy's charging in at you, it might push you back, but you're not going down to the ground. It might push you back, your whole body is gonna go back, and he's gonna feel it. He's not gonna be able to get around. He's gonna have to go to the side. Now, let's say he goes to the side. I have this second strike I want you to practice, which is this angular strike with the front part of your staff, the front part of your quarterstaff, or your walking stick, or your bow staff. Maybe you're using the Korean jangbong, whatever it is. Bam! You're gonna just bust them straight across. It comes down at an angle. Think about hitting here. The neck is a target. Maybe he's got something in his hand, like a knife. He's trying to hit you with a knife. All you have is a stick. Create that distance. Comes in, straight down. Now, look, I'm stopping it here over the top of my arm. From here, thrust, strike. Practice those for about 30 seconds. From here, thrust, strike, and then he keeps coming. You're gonna finish him with this backhand punch. Think of a punch straight in, everything in the center line. But what's gonna happen is the back of that staff, the back part of that, the other half of that big stick is gonna come straight across. And maybe it's his eye, maybe it's you're gonna break his jaw, dislocate it from his face, hit him in the neck, all the nerves there, hit him in the arm. There are a lot of nerves up in there. Not as devastating as the face, but still, it's gonna create a lot of damage when you think about what this is. It's a big stick smashing across into the flesh. Flesh isn't that strong, and then you might not kill him. Maybe you don't need to kill him. Maybe you just need to say, hey, look, I'm ready to defend myself. I didn't ask for this. You get indignant, right? I didn't ask for you to come and try to take my stuff. I have every right, it's my human right to defend myself. That's why I'm walking, my walking stick. Because the police aren't responding, maybe they all got the woo hand and they can't come out and help me, or they're afraid of getting it, so they're only responding to certain calls. Or maybe wherever you live, that's never been an option. So you're walking with your stick, you're paying attention, you realize there's a threat over here, or maybe it's a threat. You switch your brain on, you think, all right, I've got my walking stick. I still need to go that way. I'm gonna go that way. Or I can go across the street, go across the street. But you get closer and then it becomes obvious. It is a threat. Create some distance. Point your thumb at the threat. Now they've got to get around this part of the stick. Breathe, ask yourself, breathe. It's very important. Makes a mental connection. Focus is everything. That oxygen gets in your brain, everything calms down. You know how some of the cartoons, if you've seen them, the guy gets hit in the head and he sees stars or birds are floating. That's a real thing. When you don't have enough oxygen in your brain, you start getting white spots in your eyes. Breathing helps you to calm down. When you fight, you've got to go as fast and as hard as you can. You can't afford to slow down. A lot of people say, slow down, you're gonna get hurt, slow down. When you fight, you don't have a choice. Go slow and you're gonna get hurt. Fight as hard and as fast as you can and until it's over, until you win. But if you don't, breathe first, you're gonna run out of that gas. So in this process, principles, remember we got principles and techniques. Techniques are all the things that I'm gonna show you how you can move this thing and sweep their leg and switch your hands and strike and jab, all the things you can do with your walking stick. Principles, though, are far more important. Principle number one, pay attention. Number two, when they start to come in or you get close enough, get in a better position. Put the stick between you and the threat. Point your thumb and create distance. They got to get around that stick. Third part, breathe. That's like 2.5, right? 2.5, breathe. And then number three, what are my targets? What are your targets? If I'm coming at you right here, what are the targets? Right here, right? If you're already knocked to the ground, maybe they came from out of nowhere, you didn't see them, hit you on the back of the head, you're on the ground, you're down here, but you still have a stick in your hand, because that's what we're talking about in this one. What are the targets? Maybe the targets now are the groin, the private parts, the guy's legs. Maybe you just bash him on the feet. Maybe you jam him up and you stick it right in his coccyx and you lift him up a little bit and you impale him with the thing. But they're gonna be totally different targets. That's why principles are so important. I wanna do this all day long. I love these techniques, right? But maybe I don't have those options available because those aren't the targets that I have. So ask yourself, targets, and then number four, commit. And it's all about committing. So this is about commitment. Number four, commit on your strike. Commit on everything that you're doing in your training. That means from here, commit as hard as you can. When you practice, get warmed up first. Get warmed up, harder and faster. Harder and faster. Take a little step with the front foot. Drive. Take 2 steps. Stop. Go right through him, right? Try to knock him into wherever he's going to go next. Knock him into his next life, if it's about life or death. Let him experience the afterlife. You keep walking down the street. And then number 5, the fight's not over till you win. That means someone comes to help you, you're still fighting. You're fighting these guys. These guys come in, you switch into a different position, you start doing a little Silam bomb. Maybe you're in India and you already know this. Some of the Silam bomb, it's a Tamil fighting art, right? Man, you've got a lot of options, but the technique doesn't matter as much as the principle. So let's review, backtrack a little bit. I want you to warm it up with these spins. But you get really good at spinning, not for fighting, but to build strength in the forearms, flexibility, be able to use this thing in a powerful way. Go one way for 30 seconds and then back the other way. Then get in a better position. Put the staff hard on the ground. In training, you want to make mental connections between how you're going to fight when you need it and what you're doing when you're training. So if you always kind of just leisurely practice, you're going to fight leisurely. You want to warm up first, but then stomp that thing on the ground like you really mean it. Like you mean to defend yourself, like you mean it's your right, like you believe it, right? Because then when you need to and the fear comes, boom, you smack that thing on the ground, there's going to thought fires in your head, back of your mind, subconscious. You've trained yourself, you've conditioned yourself. All right, I'm ready, I'm going to fight. And that's all you needed. And the fear doesn't necessarily go away. You have to have something that kind of pushes up against that fear, right? The fear is this big thought. It's the unknown. You don't know what's going to happen, but then you do know what's going to happen. You start pushing it. And then all of the confidence from the sweat, from the calluses and the blisters, from doing this over and over again, that kind of in the back of your head takes over and pushes that fear to the side and says, okay, you stay over here because I'm going to stick this staff through that guy's chest. And that's what happens. Boom, you put it down there, and then boom, you go into that practice. And then when you practice like this, boom, and then it feels like a practice, but it's for real. Because every time you practice, harder, over and over again with a breath. And then you go into that second stroke. Oh, wait a minute, that's not the second one today. Second one today, straight down. Think about breaking the clavicle. 1, 2. And you can practice them separately if you want. Just that one over and over again. And then 3, the third one. Stomp it on the ground. On the ground. Put them together. You can change. Which number you do first, second, third, whatever. Then I want you to finish with this exercise. Starting like this. Like called push-up position, right? One hand up, one hand down. Don't worry about which hand is up and down. The hand that's down is going to push it. The hand that's up is going to twist. When you twist it, you're going to open the hand and let it spin, kind of balance. It's very deadly, especially with this. The hickory stick, quarterstaff, I mean, there's stories, there's true stories in history of monks, prayerful people, religious people, minding their own business, but they have to defend themselves, and it's effective, it works. Think about what it is, just a big stick. You got a stick, he's got a knife. Fear is knife, for sure. Causes lots of fear. But then hit it, knock it out of his hand. Poke him in his eyeball, smash him on top of his head before he gets close enough to stick that in you 38 times, and then you're done, right? And even if he gets it in one or twice, keep hitting him. Fight's not over till you win. Let the police come, carry him away, or the coroner, or whomever else. Or maybe you hit him once or twice and he runs. Think about an animal. Some animals, vicious, on the attack, you just have to hit them a couple times and they scurry away. In their mind, as the animal thinks, you're an easy target. They got you. You smack him, you punch that shark in the nose, he lets go and leaves. He didn't want that, he didn't expect that. Same thing's true with most bullies, most thugs, most criminals. That's why a lot of them go in gangs of 4 or 5. That's why a lot of them, if they're by themselves, they hide in the shadows. That's why a lot of them, if they're big and they're used to people trembling, and they got the tattoos and the beard, a lot of those things, I'm not saying all of them, and I'm not criticizing you if you have tattoos or beards or whatever, but a lot of people do a lot of things to put the appearance in the other person's eye that they're a tough dude, a bad dude, and then they fear them mistakenly. They shouldn't fear them at all. You shouldn't fear what you don't understand or don't know. You should question. You can be cautious. You can do situational awareness. You can carry a stick just in case. But a lot of times it's not what you think it is. What's going to happen is usually not what you think it is. The point is fight. You have to fight. All right, we're here. It's got a balance in the back of that hand. And then I'm going to stop it. And then I'm going to push it here. Balance in the back of that hand. Stop it with the other hand. Push it over the back of the hand. The hand will open, and then you catch it. And you start going a little bit faster. Thank you so much for watching and for your comments. I really appreciate it. You don't know how much. I was thinking this morning, I'm not going to get any government assistance loans for my business. I'm not getting PPP because I just opened. I don't have all of the right the stuff. I'm not going to get the emergency economic injury disaster loan or whatever it is. In this country, they got all these different programs. Probably not going to get it. If I do, it'll be a fraction. It won't cover anything. But I'm not waiting for anybody to come save me. It's like if you get stuck on a deserted island, your plane crashes in the ocean, and you're lucky enough to get washed up ashore or swim to the ocean, swim to the island. They're not coming for you right away. You don't know when they're coming. You start to look for some berries to eat, right? Try to catch a fish, try to make a fire. Hopefully you've prepared yourself so you know how to do some of those things. Or maybe you get lost in the woods. You're in the forest, you went for a hike, you went for a walk, or you get separated from the guide or from your family or whatever. At some point, you realize they're not coming for you. Get up and start walking. Don't walk off a cliff in the middle of the night. Use your common sense. Hopefully, like I said before, you've prepared so you don't have to panic. But the point is, they might not be coming for you. You're the first responder. You were born with every tool. You have every tool in your arsenal right now, whether you have a stick or not, to defend yourself in almost any situation, physically, spiritually, emotionally. You have to exercise them though, and stop expecting things to be easy. Life is not supposed to be easy all the time. There are moments of bliss and happiness and leisure and comfort. And then there's a whole bunch of hard work, difficult situations, horrible realities, things you have no control over, and you don't control who you are, what you are, where you've come from, what your name is, the color of your skin, none of that. You have no control over any of that. All you have control over is how you are as a person. Control your how. You want to be more kind? You can work on that right now. You want to be more loving? Phone overheated. I just had to throw it in the refrigerator. We're finished. You guys are awesome. Thanks so much for watching me. I got to keep cooling the phone down. Put your questions in the comment section below. I'll try to read the chat in a little bit, and hopefully you get a good workout today. Spin that staff, build up power, work on your strikes, work on your spins so you have good control, and just prepare so you don't have to panic. Build your confidence. You have every tool you need to defend yourself and live an amazing, engaged life, and I will see you on the next one.